Ladies and gentlemen, this is your captain speaking. Fasten your seatbelts and make sure your trays are in their upright position. There's nothing more exhausting than knowing exactly what you need to do and still choosing to scroll your phone for an hour while mentally narrating your own downfall. Welcome to Bargain Brand Wellness, where self-care is on clearance, discipline is not included, and overthinking is a contact sport. Tonight we're leaning into the mess, why hard things help your brain grow, how procrastination is your inner child with Wi-Fi, and what your emotions are actually trying to say before you pretend you're just tired. We're unpacking hustle culture, emotional triggers, and your deeply held belief that starting tomorrow is somehow more virtuous than starting today. Welcome to Wellness. Welcome everyone to another Friday evening stream. We're over here. We got a fun-filled episode packed for you all. We're excited to be here. Thrilled to have everyone here. Right? If you're checking this out during the live, right? Give us a like, give us a follow, give us a share, subscribe, whatever it is you choose to do based off the platform that you're joining us from. But we're happy to have you here, regardless of where you're coming to us from. If you happen to be watching this afterwards, right after the live is ended, you can always find us on YouTube at Bargain Brand Wellness. You can find all our live streams. You can find our little clips and our YouTube shorts that we do. You can find us over on our Facebook group titled Bargain Brand Wellness. Right, that's under my personal Facebook account. You can find us over at Twitch at BBW_live. Or you can find us on TikTok live as well underneath of my personal account. We're ready to have another fun-filled episode. As I mentioned before, on this fun Friday, we're going to give people a chance to pop in here, and then we are going to get going with this. While we're doing that, let's go ahead and put some background music down just to catch the vibe. Won't be too loud, but loud enough that y'all can kind of hear it in the background, kind of filling the void. We don't have a lot going on. It's a rainy Friday. Looked like it's wanted to rain all day today. Unfortunately, it didn't really start until much later. But that's all right. We got a nice little shower. Right, and I've heard that we might be getting another shower later this evening. So we're muscling through. You know, these rainy days, we've got our beverage of choice, whatever your beverage might be, whether it be soda, cup of coffee. It's a little late for coffee, but hey, no judgment if you like your coffee in the evening. For me, I got my herbal tea, my liver and kidney detox tea. I'm on day 6 of 8 of this. It's not bad. See if it's going to cleanse my liver and my kidneys. I will say I've noticed somewhat of a difference. Yeah. Today we're getting in a little bit into types of procrastinators or types of procrastination. All right, we're going to get into why is it so hard to just get in and do something that you really don't want to do. It's almost painful, right? When you're just really not feeling something, it actually almost hurts to even give it a try sometimes. We're gonna dive into that and talk a little bit about that today. We're going to talk about some of the emotions that are kind of attached to that. And then we're going to kind of finish it off with how to be better at not taking things personally. We take a lot of things personally in our lives, most of which are not usually directed towards us. Right? It feels like they are. A lot of times we end up internalizing, how someone makes us feel we like to fill in the blanks. We make a lot of assumptions from time to time on what people's motives or their agendas are. Now, don't get me wrong. There are people out there with not your best interest at heart. There are people, but a lot of the times we tend to misread so many situations. We tend to see people at their worst instead of seeing them at their best. It's a bad habit that a lot of us have. We're going to give just a couple more minutes before we jump into our first segment here. Once we do that, for any of our viewers who are jumping on, as I mentioned before, I'm not necessarily interacting with chat. I'm kind of recording the smaller segments for a YouTube video that we'll be posting later on. But feel free to interact with the chat any way that you please. And after I'm done recording each segment, I'll interact with what y'all gotta say. So glad to have you all here. I've seen a couple people pop in and out over there on TikTok. Hopefully everyone's ready for the weekend. Right? For those of you who are ready to enjoy your weekend. Hopefully you got the weekend off. I'll tell you what, I've been working in a job for 7 years now. 7 years now where I have holidays, weekends, evenings off. First time in my life. I don't know. And no hate towards anyone. I don't know that I could ever go back to that. I mean, I could obviously if I had to, but I don't know if I could ever choose to go back to that kind of work schedule. It's definitely nice having your evenings off, kind of knowing enough ahead, like, hey, I'm off every weekend, not just, hey, I get what event of my kids am I gonna miss? It's pretty nice. See, we have a viewer over here on Facebook. Unfortunately, I have not figured out a way for someone told me it will tell you who's here, but I am not seeing it. So whoever's over there joining us on Facebook, howdy, how you doing on this Friday? We're just getting ready to jump into our first segment, and we're gonna do this thing. Alright, well, I think with that being said, we're going to go ahead and record this. It's pretty quiet here right now, and I don't want to have too much quieted. So let's go ahead and record our first segment, and we'll see who's joined us from here. You know that feeling when you finally do the thing you've been avoiding, like scheduling that dentist appointment, folding the laundry that's been sitting in your chair for 3 weeks, or finally opening that email marked urgent. Suddenly you feel weirdly accomplished. Not proud, not joyful, just cleansed. That's not just relief. That's your brain doing cartwheels because you gave it something uncomfortable to chew on. You see, growth doesn't happen in your cozy everyday routine. It doesn't live in comfort zones, motivational quotes, or color-coded to-do lists you never actually follow. It lives in resistance, in doing what you don't feel like doing when you don't feel like doing it. And the wild part, that's the exact moment your brain has the most pain. The brain doesn't grow in autopilot. It grows when you resist what's easy, delay gratification, and lean into discomfort. Every time you push through resistance, your brain gets stronger, literally. The prefrontal cortex, the part responsible for focus, discipline, and long-term decision making, is activated and reinforced. That feeling when you don't want to do it, but you do it anyway, that's your brain leveling up in real time. Stress isn't always bad. Sometimes it's growth in disguise. This kind of effort is called positive stress. It challenges your limits without overwhelming your system. It stimulates pathways linked to resilience, adaptability, and problem solving. The more often you do hard things, even when they're boring or annoying, the more your brain rewires itself to make discipline feel normal. Discipline isn't a magical trait, it's a muscle. Use it and it grows. Avoid it and your brain builds a couch. Boring reps build big brains. Consistency matters more than motivation. Each time you show up when it's uncomfortable, when you don't feel like it, you're telling your brain, this is who we are now. Eventually, discipline becomes default. Consistency becomes character. And doing hard things becomes easier, not because they're easy, but because you've grown stronger. So next time you don't feel like it, that's your cue. That's the moment your brain has the most to gain. Do it anyway. Your future self will send you a thank you fruit basket. Brain gains aren't made when it's easy, they're made when it's hard. Annoying, inconvenient, and exactly what you don't feel like doing. So don't wait for motivation, show up for growth. Your prefrontal cortex is literally rooting for you. We did that. It is one of those things that's really hard. Doing something that you really, really don't want to do, but you do feel better once you've done that thing. It's just that annoying little thing that you just got to check off, right? And this is coming to you from someone who loves checklists or little to-do lists, right? I have index cards that I use to keep track of what I need to do. I keep a notebook for little things I want to do. I keep tiny notebooks. I have my weird kind of organization system so that I know where everything is at. But there's some of those things. I'll put it on the list and it'll sit there. It'll sit there for days. And it's something that probably would take me 5 minutes. Sometimes it's just getting into it. Once you're into it, you're fine. I know, for work, there's times I've needed to send out an email or there's something I've needed to do. And depending on the time of the day, I've literally said to myself, you know what, that's a tomorrow project. Because depending on the time of the day, if it's something I don't think I can get finished before the end of the day, I don't know that I can sleep knowing that thing's still not quite 100% finished. Right? Now some things can be left, but not a lot. Not a lot. So think to yourself, right? When you're actually enjoying life, those little things, those little nuanced things that you don't feel like doing, it really does make you feel a little bit better once you jump into it. Right? I feel it all the time. And even though I know this, I still struggle to kind of just jump into that thing I don't feel like doing. The little DIY project that you've been putting off for so long because you don't really quite know where to start, and you're worried that some hiccup, might throw a wrench into your plans, right? Or any of the above. So the next time you really don't feel like getting into something, if you have the time, you know what? Go ahead and give it a shot. Go ahead and give it a shot. I bet you won't disappoint yourself. I bet you won't. We're having a fantastic Friday over here. Right. Joey Twig, thanks for the likes. Let's go. Happy Friday, buddy. Happy Friday. Back to work next week. Yeah, back to work. My little staycation is almost over, but I got most of what I wanted to get accomplished this week. Yeah, I made a patio. We had a patio, but it had a small patch of grass that was, I don't know, 8 by 16, right next to the patio, and it's just such a pain in the butt to clean because you end up getting grass everywhere. And we've been wanting to get rid of that for several years now. So, yeah, that was my project for this week. Was pulling up all the old stones, right? Trying my best to level it off without any professional equipment. And it's not totally level, but it's manageable. It's doable. It'll work for us. And then we made that kind of our grilling area, so it's closer to the door. So it definitely took a little bit longer than I had hoped. It took me pretty much not full 3 days, but almost 3 days having to stop for kid stuff. But yeah, that was. You're starting your deck next week. I remember you talking about it for a while. You know, decks aren't bad. Once you get the frame up, and you and I were talking about this. Once you get the frame up, the rest is easy. It's just getting it level, getting it all kind of figured out. It kind of fits in with what I was just talking about in this first segment. You know, it's that one thing. It's like, where do I get started? But once you get into it, it just flows. Just flows. You know, you start getting that dopamine hit. You know, everything's going well. Hopefully, right? I can't tell you. I haven't had many projects that I didn't have at least some hiccup come. But I think the more I think about it, that's kind of just the life of doing DIY. Got to start with the post. Yeah. How many holes do you have to dig? I'm gonna tell you, because that'll give you a workout right there. Renting an auger, you sucker. You sucker. That's gonna make your life so much easier. Renting an auger from American Rental. 15 of them. Yeah. Well, I can't say that I rented an auger. I used a post hole digger. And this movement ain't doing that by listen, I've done it. I do not blame you. No hate whatsoever. If you want to work out, do a few of them by hand. But I do not blame you at all. I had to do way more than 15 for my one deck because of how long it was. I think I had to do, well, maybe not way more than 15. It was probably about 18 to 20 I had to do just because of how long it was. Yeah. Spend 120. That's all that man, I feel like an idiot. I didn't know that's all it cost to rent one. That would have been worth the $120. Dude, I'd probably pay $150 for that. Yeah, and I don't know about your backyard, but my backyard, so I left off the side of Wills Mountain out Valley Road. The top layer is clay, which is horrible this time of year because it's still wet and it's just messy. And then right below that is shale, right? I hardly have any, just dirt. It's clay and then shale. And trust me, post hole digger is not great with that. That makes it even longer. If it was just dirt, it probably wouldn't have been that difficult. So yeah, I don't know about your land, but that auger is that's gonna be nice. Now, is it one of those 2-person augers, so someone's got to stand on the other side and you both? Those look pretty cool. It's another fantastic Friday. We're having a grand old time over here on Bargain Brand Wellness. Yeah, 2-person one. That's cool. Yeah, that'll make it nice and easy for you. I don't know if this is your first time kind of doing a big project like this. Take some pictures as you're going throughout. It's something you can kind of look back on and, just kind of have some happy memories. If you're watching this video live, or if you're catching us later on, afterwards, right? Feel free to check us out on some of our other platforms. You can find us on YouTube at Bargain Brand Wellness. You can find us over at Twitch at BBW_live. If you know, you know. You can find us on TikTok under my personal TikTok account, as well as same thing on Facebook. We have a group titled Bargain Brand Wellness where we are currently live. Before and after pictures, yeah. Yeah, I know. I would sometimes do like a kind of in between pictures, but before and after, if nothing else, definitely. But put in the scrapbook. Pretty quiet. This is the second Friday in a row. It's been pretty quiet. I don't know if just people are busy doing other stuff or whatnot, but definitely, I haven't really even had anything on Facebook today. We've had a couple people pop into YouTube, but I haven't seen any. Comments coming in. Same thing over on Facebook. It's quiet on the comment front. A little too quiet, if you ask me. Now, we're over here having fun. We're over here trying to grow. We're still a relatively new channel. We're coming up on about a month. I guess we should, at a 1 month mark. I don't necessarily think we need to have a celebration, but I think we should definitely note it. I'll have to look back and see exactly when was the date of our very first stream. Hey, here's a comment. Thanks, Ashley. It's another quiet Friday, but that's all right. You know, we're learning, we're loving, we're doing our thing over here. We're having fun regardless. You know, I look at it this way. I've been wanting to do a channel like this for, a couple years now. This has been a 2-year process. A year and 11 months of that was brainstorming, but the last month was all the work. Coming up with the channel name, the brand, the logo, setting up all these different accounts. Yeah, I did a lot of work, and within a month's time, the first 23 months was just kind of, I'd like to start a channel sometime, but not a lot of action. But we're over here having fun. The kind of my point behind that is we're just here to have fun. We're just here to hang out with people. Yes, I'd love for this thing to grow into something bigger, especially now that the other show is unfortunately gone. And who knows where this could lead us. We're over here learning. We're over here having fun. We're gonna see what we can do to kind of make this even more engaging than what we hoped. We're having a good time. So we just did our first, just a few minutes ago, we just did our first segment, which is talking about how your brain actually grows or develops what's also called neuroplasticity when you actually do the things you really don't want to do, right? And we all have those things. I don't care who you are. There is something in your life that you just don't feel like doing. But you'll notice once you dive into that thing, even if you didn't enjoy it while you were doing it, you somehow secretly feel better after you've completed it. You're like, wow, why did I put that off for so long? It's just what we do sometimes, I guess. What we do. So here in a few minutes, we're going to jump into our next topic. We actually have 4 topics we're going to cover today, just because they kind of all fit together. Laundry. Yeah, I always put off putting away my laundry. That's a good one, probably one of the most common ones. I've been there. It's done. It's clean. It's dry. It just needs folded and put away. The folding part is often probably the most difficult part. And when I say difficult, in the part that we really don't want to do. I don't know. I've kind of, for myself, I've kind of just become accustomed to just jumping in and doing these things. I just jump in and do it. Because if not, I'm going to overthink it, and I'm already an avid overthinker in everything else in my life. So something like laundry, yeah, I try not to overthink. I just do it to the point where it doesn't even really bother me. And that's the funny thing, is when you can kind of develop those consistent patterns over time, 6 months, a year or two later, it doesn't even really bother you anymore. You just do that thing. You don't really like doing it, but it's just, hey, it's something I gotta do. I'll put away my 2 kids' clothes and then just don't feel like doing mine. Well, maybe that's part of it. You're too busy doing other people's stuff. Then you're just like, yeah, I don't feel like doing mine. I know your kids are still a little young, but hey, maybe they can start doing their own laundry here soon. How old was I? I think I was a teenager when I started doing my own laundry. Yeah, teenager. I know. I'll tell you one for me that I still struggle with. This is a good one. Cooking dinner. It's not that I'm not a great cook, but I'm not a bad cook. But for me, the part that I put off about cooking dinner is I don't know what to cook. I'm not one of those people who can just throw a meal together. That's my wife. My wife is hey, we need to figure out something for dinner. She'll throw something together and it'll be just fine. I struggle. I can't do that. I need to have a plan. I need someone to give me a recipe. Or if it's something I've fixed it numerous times, say, hey, this is what I want you to make. And I'll go make that thing. But if someone doesn't give me anything, I'll put off dinner as long as I can until someone either does it or makes the decision for me. Yeah, that's probably my one main area of things I like to kind of put off. But once I get into it, I actually kind of enjoy it a little bit and say, yeah, I actually did a pretty good job with that. That's not bad. Another fantastic Friday. We're gonna jump into our next segment here. Hopefully, it's gonna kind of fit in with what we were just talking about. We're gonna talk about procrastination, which kind of fits in with this whole brain growth and neuroplasticity. Where I venture to say we're all guilty of it, at least in some way, shape, or form. Right? We all have something we not like to procrastinate. We just do. All right, that thing that we put off. There's always tomorrow. Is there? Tomorrow isn't guaranteed. I'm not trying to be cynical. Just saying. Let's get in this. With this next segment, we're going to talk about the different types of procrastinators. All right. Procrastination Nation. We all procrastinate, but not all procrastinators are created equal. Some of us delay because we're perfectionists. Others because we're overwhelmed. And there's that special breed of human who only feels productive when they're organizing the pantry instead of updating their resume. We say things like, I'll do it tomorrow, not realizing that tomorrow is where all our goals go to die. Later turns into never, and suddenly we're emotionally paralyzed by a task that takes 12 minutes and an ounce of courage. The truth is, procrastination isn't about laziness. It's about discomfort, fear, doubt, the whisper of, what if I fail? Or worse, what if I succeed and can't sustain it? So in this segment, we're going to call it out, name your flavor of procrastination, and give you the tools to kick it out of the driver's seat. Let's meet the cast of characters that's keeping you stuck. Procrastination isn't a time problem. It's an emotional management problem. You're not putting off the task. You're putting off the feeling that comes with it. Fear, boredom, doubt, pressure. The truth? Motivation doesn't come first. Action does. Waiting to feel ready is like waiting for a motivational speech from your laundry pile. The first step is the hardest. Take it anyway. Do one small thing right. Your future self is watching. Let's break down the main types of procrastinators and hit them where it hurts. Gently with insight and maybe a protein bar. So, the perfectionist. If I can't do it perfectly, I won't do it at all. You're not lazy. You're just scared of messing up. That's it. Solution? Aim for progress, not perfection. Perfect results come from imperfect consistency. The avoider. That task makes me feel icky. I'll do it tomorrow. And then tomorrow becomes never. You're avoiding discomfort, not the task. Solution? Use the 5-minute rule. Commit to doing whatever that thing is for just 5 minutes. Once you start, momentum will take over. Discipline is choosing what you want most over what you want right now. The busy bee. Look at me being productive, just not on the actual task. You're organizing your digital folders instead of sending that email. Solution? Break down your real task into micro steps. Small action leads to big results. The thrill seeker. I work best under pressure, also known as I crave chaos. Adrenaline is not a productivity tool, it's a survival response. Solution? Build in fake urgency. Set a timer. Ask someone to check in. Trick your brain into caring now. The self-doubter. I'm not good enough to start this. Fear of failure, fear of judgment, fear of looking dumb. Sound familiar? Solution? Accept that mistakes are part of the process, not proof of failure. You are not your only competition. Success is built by those who start, not those who wait. Start before you're ready. You'll figure it out on the way. Procrastination shows up when there's gaps between who you are right now and who you believe you should be. Every time you delay action, you reinforce a story that you're not ready. The only way to rewrite that story is to act, especially when it's inconvenient. You don't need more time. You need fewer excuses and a better disguise. Procrastination isn't a personality flaw, it's a signal. A signal that fear, doubt, or perfectionism is trying to drive. But here's the good news. They can't steer if you start moving. So take the first step, even if it's small. The longer you wait, the louder the excuses get. And your future self, they're out there clapping, just waiting for you to show up. Ash Comics said, I realized today that my struggle making my art is because I've made it transactional. Okay, so you get in what you so you take out of it what you kind of put into it. Not much of an art person. I used to draw back in my younger years. I started to create art only on live streams when originally I would create it in total privacy. It's okay, so it's kind of like one of those things they said, do what you love, do what you're passionate about. But then that thing becomes something that you only do for that thing. You don't end up getting the same enjoyment out of it. And that's an unfortunate thing, because the thing you're an expert or a master at is something that you could probably be very successful at. But once you kind of monetize it, right, we can tend to, it kind of tends to take some of that passion out of it. Not always, but it definitely can. I've always felt it was off, like I was planting the seed in the wrong kind of soil. Yeah. I mean, is it something where I know you do it for your live streams, but is that something you'd be willing to then do in your private time? Maybe a different type of art, something that, as far as you're concerned, maybe no one really would be interested in it. But it's just something you love to do. I don't know, just a thought. I've been there. I'm hoping this, because this is something I'm passionate about. Sure, I hope to make money off this at some point, but I hope not to lose that passion for wellness. That's why we're here. Ashley just said everything you just said is so true. The more I procrastinate, the more overwhelmed I feel, and then the more I don't want to do it. It's a terrible cycle, and a cycle that's hard to break. I also struggle with then figuring out where to start or what to do first, and again feel overwhelmed, stressed, and avoid. It's mainly in my personal life I experience this. Yeah, there's usually a big difference between personal life and professional life. We all procrastinate in both, but they're two totally different entities. So, no, I've been there too, Ashley. Joey says, I say paint it once in privacy and then make a second copy on live. Hey, there you go. Here's the only thing though. Art is, I mean, I don't know a lot about art, but I think art is about passion. And I can make that thing now, but I don't know that I could recreate it the same way a second time. Right? Yeah, that would be tough. My struggle with my art has been because I've been chasing art, dollars, and views, forgetting I created alone first. Yeah, absolutely. You know, and it's a thing that, I mean, I'm gonna guess that you're passionate about, that you love doing, but it's just that's kind of become your focus anymore. I get it. I get it. My struggle, I will record it, maybe some I can do live, but to be honest, I got to get back in my own space. Agreed. Maybe you just need a little bit of a reset. You know, this is coming to you from someone who I've been on a personal growth mission for the last, I mean, in all honesty, really since 2009. But it's hit its bumps and barriers. I'd say my main mission has really been just over the last probably two and a half years. Not to get too deep, but I experienced a pretty big loss in my family, and it hit me pretty hard, and it got me just realizing that I need to make some changes in my life for the better. And so it's kind of led me here. I'm back in school. I'm doing the show, loving it. Right, we're still relatively new, but you know, we're over here doing our thing. We're having a good time, and yeah, I'm always trying to grow. The only problem with me, and anybody who knows me personally knows this about me, is I'm never satisfied. Right, because I'm always trying to grow and do a little bit more. My motto is kind of what's next. Right, I tend to forget, and Ashley, you'll get this. I tend to forget the mindfulness part, just to kind of live in the present, even if it's just for a few minutes. But if I'm being honest with myself, since we started doing this has been a nice little reminder to me. Over the last month, while we've been doing this, I've been more mindful. Joey says, and we're having a good time. We are having a good time. And I appreciate those of you who have been able to kind of join, you know, every stream, even if it's just for a few minutes. I do appreciate, you know, some love. I appreciate the support. I appreciate you guys hopping over here. Ash Comics, I appreciate you being on here. We're a relatively new channel. I haven't felt love for it in a minute, and I've been thinking my escape habits have been my enemy, but it was my guardian angel. I've been trying to trap myself in hyper-productivity schedules and routines. My escapism has been keeping my spirit and my art alive. And kind of with what I was just talking about, trust me, I've been there. I think that was kind of my whole, just busy. The busier you are, the less you have time to think about the things that you don't really want to deal with right now. But appreciate everything that you shared with us. We're all love over here. Reconnection successful. All right, looks like we're back up. We had a little bit of a glitch or something. I don't know if it was just my internet or whatnot, but we're back, baby. Yeah, I don't know what happened. Everything just kind of disconnected for a minute. Maybe it was just my internet. Maybe is it raining again? Oh. Up to 1,600 likes on our TikTok. Thanks for that, Joey. I'm gonna assume most, if not almost all of those were from you. Last I heard, you were talking about coming out of the closet. Those words did not come out of my mouth, sir. That's too funny. We're over here live, right? Having a grand old time on Facebook, YouTube, Twitch, and TikTok. Right? We're whoops. Yeah, Joe, you're not supposed to tell anybody. Jeez. No, we're over here having a good time. We're new. We're trying to figure this thing out. You know, being live on four platforms. I don't know. I'll be honest. I don't know much about streaming. I'm still relatively new to this. You know, I don't know if this is what people do. I know that people multi-stream, but I don't know if 4 is a lot. We're kind of seeing where we can kind of engage with people. So far, our winners have been kind of YouTube. TikTok, we've been getting people on. Haven't really been able to get many people over on Twitch. Joey, you've been the only one who's jumped over there. Yeah, I don't know. But we're having a good time. Looks like our Twitch went down. Let's put our Twitch back up for a second. See if it works. There, we're back up over there on Twitch. Twitch is for gamers. Agreed. And that's why I wanted to try it. I figured it doesn't hurt for us to go over there. It just, that one day I saw that they had a lot of people in there doing the just chatting. I was like, yeah, maybe. But I also know that, you know, a lot of times you go over there to just chatting, it's usually not always the most appropriate content. I'll just leave it at that. If you say we're having a good time, enough people will believe it. I like the strategy. Agreed. And I mean, and we are having a good time. I enjoy coming up with these. I enjoy writing the episodes. I really do. Kind of writing the content. Yeah, and seeing how people interact with it. It definitely feels like, for those of you who do jump on here, it definitely feels like you enjoy the content. We're just trying to find a way to just try to reach more people. Right? Wellness isn't a new topic, and I know there's wellness channels all over the world, but I feel like we got something special to offer here. And if nothing else, I try to keep it as authentic as possible. I try to be the real me on here, so I feel like you can't put a price on that. I mean, I guess you could. If we're to the point where we can do monthly memberships. Thank you for that, Ashley. I think the content has been pretty good. I enjoy coming up with some of these different topics. And I know you guys have enjoyed me having Nova on here, so maybe we'll try to make Nova maybe not every day or every stream, but maybe at least once a week. We'll try to bring Nova on here. There's always some way I can use her on here. Got any new sunglasses you're gonna wear on stream? Not today. I figured I'd just go with the hat and then just wear some eyeglasses. I do still have plenty of glasses. I haven't bought any new ones, but I still have plenty of other glasses y'all haven't seen yet. You may have seen them before if you ever watched the other show. I may have worn them on there, but we got plenty of them. And I have a problem. I will end up buying more. I promise you I'll buy more. Especially sometimes you can get them off Temu. They'll send them in like a 12-pack for like $10. I'm like, great buy. They don't even have to be good sunglasses. They're just on here for just got to bring a little character to our stream. I like and I think that was kind of my idea behind the glasses, the hats, the t-shirts. Y'all like this one, No Balance? But to kind of let people know, like, you know, this is a serious topic, but we're not too serious. Like, I still want to bring the humor into this as well. So that was kind of my thought process with kind of still running with some of the stuff that I wore on the Brothers Chatter. Joey, I see you over there. You got us up to 2,000 likes on TikTok. Slow down. You're gonna wear your finger out. It is crazy that TikTok does that. It allows you to do the likes, but I don't know. I'm gonna be honest. I don't know if like doing that many likes does anything. Maybe once you get to so many likes, that's impossible. Maybe once it gets to so many likes, it kind of shoots it out to other people. Maybe, I don't know. That's 9:15 already. Well, with that being said, let's go ahead and jump into our next segment. I like to try to keep this around an hour or a little bit over. I don't mind going over, but it's pretty cool, relatively quiet over here, but I enjoy both of you joining us today. Our next topic, we're going to get into kind of understanding our emotions. There we go. We tend to treat emotions like they're problems to fix. If we're happy, we celebrate. If we're angry, we suppress. If we're grieving, we apologize for being too much. But what if emotions aren't the problem? What if they're the proof that you're paying attention to your life? Most of us weren't taught how to handle emotions. We were taught how to hide them. Smile through the sadness. Get over the anger. Don't let them see you cry. But emotions aren't weakness. They're data. They don't mean you're falling apart. They mean you're receiving information. And in this segment, we're decoding that emotional inbox you've been ignoring, so you can stop drowning in your feelings and start understanding what they're trying to say. Emotions are not random. They're your brain and body's way of communicating with you, often before your conscious mind catches up. You don't have bad emotions, you have informative ones. So let's break down what some of them are trying to tell you. Anger is energy with purpose. It shows up when your boundaries are crossed, your values are challenged, or something feels unjust. Just don't let it take over. Channel it into action. Guilt means your actions aren't lining up with your values. It's not here to punish you. It's a moral compass to steer you back on the right course. Frustration is a signal that something isn't working. You're stuck between effort and outcome. Either shift your approach or shift your expectations. Overthinking is your brain searching for control in uncertain moments. The problem? You can't control the unknown. Try trust instead. Grief is love with nowhere to go. It hurts because it matters. Let it move through you, or it'll root itself deeper. Fear is protection, not prophecy. It doesn't always mean danger. It might just mean growth is coming. Learn to tell the difference. Sadness is your emotional body catching up to reality. It slows you down so you can process it. Let it. Loneliness is a craving for connection. It's not about being around people. It's about being seen by them. Disappointment means your expectations aren't being met. Adjust them. Don't shut down. Boredom is unused creativity. It's not there. It's not that there's nothing to do. It's that nothing feels meaningful. Envy isn't about wanting what they have. It's about believing that you can't have it. Use it as a map to what matters. Emotions aren't loud for no reason. They're messengers. And messengers don't need to be silenced. They need to be heard. When you ignore or suppress emotions, they don't disappear. They store themselves in your body and come back later as stress, anxiety, or passive aggressive side. We call it being strong, but strength isn't silence. It's the ability to feel and move forward. Trying to outthink your emotions is like trying to dry off in the rain. You have to go through it, not around it. Learning to recognize, name, and respond to emotions is what psychologists call emotional literacy. And it's one of the most underrated life skills. The goal isn't to control your emotions. The goal is to partner with them. Ask, what am I feeling? What's the message underneath? How do I want to respond? Your emotions don't need a manager. They need a translator. Your emotions aren't flawed. They're functions. They don't mean you're broken. They mean you're paying attention. So instead of stuffing them down, listen to what they're trying to tell you. Because the better you get at speaking emotional fluency, the better your life responds in every language. Mic drop, which I still haven't bought yet. We'll get a mic. Joey, I like that one, Joey. Tim is like Chuck Norris. He goes to therapy to give his therapist advice. That's a good one. I like that one. That's a good one. Joey, your poor fingers. You got me up to 3,000 likes over there all by yourself. I appreciate it, buddy. I appreciate you being on here. That was a good one. Goes to therapy to give his therapist advice. Whoop whoop. 3,000. I'll tell you what, I was really surprised, or I guess I am really surprised how quiet we are over on Facebook. I saw a couple viewers pop in here and there, but we've had no chats over there, which is, not a terrible thing, in that I had mentioned that eventually I kind of want to move away from Facebook, maybe. I think Friday is not the best day. You might be right. Maybe Fridays aren't the best day, especially for this type of stream. We're not a gaming channel. And hear me out on this. I've also thought timing might even be a problem. Is this maybe even too late for this type of content? Yeah, last Friday was very slow. It was very slow. So, you're right. Fridays should be the after dark content. Maybe we could do a later stream on Fridays, and maybe Monday and Wednesday could be still the 8:30 time. Maybe. I don't know. It kind of changes it up too. We could go live a little bit later, stay on a little bit later on a Friday. I get up early regardless, but I don't mind staying on a little bit later if I know I don't have to get up to go to work. So that's not a bad idea, Joey. We might have to. It's kind of hard because it's like, have we really gathered enough data to say one way or another? I'd say not. But we're not really seeing a whole lot of growth here. Regardless, I've had a few new like that Ash comics that popped into TikTok every once in a while. We'll get someone kind of off brand that pops in like that, but not as frequently as I would like. Talk about your fantasies or conspiracies. Yeah, because I definitely want to kind of throw in some of that as well. So who knows? Maybe that will be the Friday thing. Maybe we'll work on doing Fridays, maybe starting later, going a longer period of time. Yeah, I don't know. I still definitely need to kind of write an episode, because I'm not over here playing video games. Right. I could. I just really wasn't really my thing. I don't have time to play video games. So if we're doing this, I gotta have at least something to talk about in case there's no one here, because I can't just stare at the screen and not talk. I could, but it might be a little weird. Every viewer that pops in, like, hey, I see you popped in. You want to talk about something real quick? No. I don't know. Maybe we'll check that out. I'll think about it. Random hairs. Get you in the stake. Gambling, I've done a little bit. I've done DraftKings, FanDuel. I've done a little bit of those before. We can have that's what we'll do on Fridays. We'll do it'll be a live stream it'll be Gamblers Anonymous. It's not fun to watch though. That's what we'll do. We'll do Gamblers Anonymous. Streams on Friday. No betting allowed. I hear you. That is still the stupidest thing I've ever seen. Like, no action detected. I'm talking. Like, I'm sorry, I'm not typing. Here, let me give you a whole. Like, I don't know many live streamers type into their comments. What are some of your future topic ideas? Here's the thing, Ashley. I have notebook. That first blank. But I keep all my notes and stuff here. I have a Google Keeps app where I have a lot of different ideas. Some of these I need to go through these because I just typed something. There's probably 100 on here. Some of these were from the Brothers Chatter and not really appropriate for here for this stream. I mean, it's really anything and everything wellness. Like, so some things might even be like food related. You know, kind of like how we talked about the protein shakes on Wednesday. Who knows? We might even do product reviews. You know, at some point. You know, weird facts. Yeah, Google Keeps. It's an app to kind of like. It's exactly just it's to-do list. I have different ones. I have like my podcast topics, TikTok ideas, Dr. Professor skits, reminders. I need a colonoscopy in 2029. Or if I like see something healthy that I wanted to try out, or if there's something I wanted to buy, I'll look at it. I have a book list on here. Projects like DIY projects I needed around the house. When I was really in my motivational phase, I developed a part called life support. Now a lot of this has to do with dealing with children and your relationships, but a lot of this on here would be good content. It just talks about building relationships, how to talk to children, how to give them directions, fear in children, where that comes from and how to deal with it. Yeah, I love Google Keeps. I use it all the time. Yeah, I've thought about that. Yeah, life coach. Yeah, I've thought about that. Don't you have to get like certified in that? Life hacks, yeah. I like the little life hacks. We could definitely throw some of those in there. I'm a life hack guy. The Mythbusters, yeah, the Mythbuster I like. I'm thinking like that could almost be kind of like the conspiracy stuff. Yeah, the one thing I've been doing a little bit of extra research, like on how to make our content more engaging, like not just how to edit my videos, but how to get people in with like the titles of your stream, your thumbnails. My thumbnails I definitely want to kind of work on a little bit. I like them, I just don't know how inviting they are. Like I kind of have, like I thought it would be smart to have like a template for my live. So if you ever look at it, especially if you look on YouTube, you'll notice it's 3 pictures kind of in a frame, and each picture is kind of related to somehow to what we're talking about, and it's got the BBW logo in it. And I thought it's nice and clean, as well as our kind of signature background. And then with the videos, I just kind of throw a picture up there, kind of with what we're talking about, the stock photo, and then a little saying that kind of is related to that. But the saying on the thumbnail isn't the same as the title. And maybe that's where I'm going wrong. Maybe those thumbnails need to be more engaging. And then the editing of the videos, I wish there was an easier way to do it. I think it's just one of those things. Talking about procrastination, I really just gonna have to put a little bit more effort into that. Like there's some things I could do to make it a little bit more engaging, where you like kind of zoom in at certain parts of your camera and then zoom back out to the normal. But you have to specifically do that for each part of the video. And I'm not going to do that for the whole live stream, but for those like little smaller, like 5-minute clips or even a 15-minute clip, probably wouldn't be that bad. So, I don't know. Yeah, I like it though. Tomorrow, well, this weekend. Usually I do it on Saturdays, but sometime this weekend I'll be writing next week's scripts. I like to do it all at once because I don't have enough time. If I wait until like Tuesday to try to write Wednesday stuff, I just have too much stuff going on. I won't have time to do it. And so maybe next Friday will be a little bit later and more conspiracy minded, not so much wellness. It'll still be clean. I mean, I'm not saying we don't ever use profanity over here or anything, but it's definitely, I definitely want to try to keep it cleaner than the previous show. All right, Joey, I know you've seen clips of that before. Actually, I don't know if you ever watched any of those, but we had fun, but you know, at some point you got to grow up, right? All right, I'm gonna go ahead and record our next segment, and then we're gonna wrap up with our off-brand thought. No, I never really watched it. It was funny, but it was definitely I mean, if you ever wanted to go back and check out any of the stuff, feel free to. But it was definitely a more of a guy vibe. I'll just, that's the best way I can say. Just more of a guy vibe. I'm going to tell you right now, it's not always appropriate. And we probably talked about penis on there way more than we should have been. Which I can't throw too much blame. I'm the one who wrote the segment. But I did that because that seemed to be the only thing those two would interact with. All right, let's get into this final segment where we're going to talk about how to not take things personally. Something I think we could all use a little bit of practice in. No matter how good you think you are, you could probably use a little practice in how to not take things personally. What you drinking? I'm drinking my herbal tea. I've been on this one for, it's a 8-day regimen. It's like a detox for your liver and kidney. Tammy's been drinking it. And she said she's really like, she said it's kind of helped her her appetite, helped her with her feeling less bloated. So I thought I'd try. They said that you're not supposed to drink all the time, so I'm just drinking one box of it and see if it helps, because that's really the only area that I really struggle with. It's just the bloated. So, but it's not bad. It's not bad, and I don't put any sugar in it. No honey, no nothing. It's just the herbal tea. No wonder they said you were coming out. No, you're. I get it. It's like, why are we all? Why is it every time you got to find a way to talk about penises on here? Like you said, sex sells. It does. All right, let's record this. Do you ever walk away from a conversation and replay it 16 different ways in your head, wondering if you said too much, not enough, or if that weird pause after your joke meant they hate you now? Welcome to the emotionally exhausting sport known as taking things personally. Most of us do it without thinking, because we are wired to seek approval, avoid conflict, and decode everyone else's energy like our self-worth depends on it. But here's the truth bomb. It's not about you. People are walking around full of their own fears, frustration, insecurities, and projections. You're not responsible for carrying them. In this segment, we're learning how to protect our peace, break up with approval addiction, and stop absorbing other people's chaos like it's part of our job description. People often project their pain onto others without realizing it. What feels personal is usually just misdirected emotion. Their mood, their silence, their passive-aggressive emoji reply, it's their unhealed stuff, not your soul's indictment. You're not their trigger. You're just where their trigger landed. Most emotional spirals begin with a story your brain invented with zero confirmation. When in doubt, ask. Don't assume. Because assumptions are stress dressed in drama. Clarity may not always give you comfort, but it will give you peace. Your peace of mind is worth more than your pride. Detachment doesn't mean indifference. It means freedom from reactivity. Practice the pause. Silence isn't weakness, it's strategy. You don't need to be understood by everyone to be at peace with yourself. You're allowed to outgrow people who make you feel like too much. Set and hold boundaries. They're not walls. They're signs that say this space is sacred. Act accordingly. Curate your circle. Your environment shapes your mindset. So protect your emotional landscape like it's under renovation. You can't control everything, but you can control what you allow. Boundaries aren't rude, they're responsible. Confidence doesn't come from being liked. It comes from owning what makes you different. Let go of approval addiction. You weren't made to fit into every room. The people who matter will celebrate your weird, your wild, and your growth. Self-acceptance isn't the best filter. When you know who you are, other people's opinions become background noise. Stop handing out VIP passes to people who treat your peace like a public bathroom. Ask instead of assuming. Pause instead of reacting. Set boundaries instead of stewing. And above all else, remember, it's probably not about you. It's not about who they are. It is about who they are and what you no longer have to carry. Because around here, healing is not sold separately. Every once in a while I get my tongue tied a little bit. Which doesn't help because I'm still wearing this flipper. I'm going to have my crown back here in just a couple more weeks. I'm very excited because I'm tired of wearing this thing. It definitely does make it a little bit harder. How's it going, Stephen Twig? Thanks for jumping on here with us. Glad to see you, buddy. Hope you're ready for your weekend on this fantastic Friday. We're having a grand old time over here. He's a little late. That's all right. He's a little late. A little late to the party, but the party's not quite over. After being in this field for so long, you learn to not take things personally. I think, yeah, it's, in some ways you almost start to kind of become numb to it after so long, especially if you ever work directly with our youngins. Our youngins. He's a little late. You online? Am I online? I'm live right now, bud. Or are you talking about? You're talking to Joey. I didn't say I am online. You're talking to me. But yeah, and honestly, it's actually, become numb and desensitized. It's unfortunate because I don't want to say to do this job well, but it really helps when you're able to kind of feel, right? But Is there a difference between not becoming numb and desensitized versus just kind of letting things roll up, kind of roll off your shoulder? What's the 20 up by my name? TikTok? I don't see a 20. Oh, the 20. I don't know. I honestly don't know. Yeah, I've always wondered what that, because sometimes it show different numbers. I would say it's likes, but it's not. 20,000 likes throughout your career. Maybe. It could be. The Jimmy Twiggs on here as well. Yeah, because Steven's got a 6 next to his. And Jimmy's got a 3. My brother was on here the other day, and I can't remember. He had like a 10. So maybe it is. Maybe it is how many likes you've sent. Tallied up for all of our streams. Which is pretty cool. I didn't know it did that. That was kind of weird. There's like nothing for me to click on or highlight, which I don't really quite know. It's different. Yeah. All right. Our final piece, our off-brand thought for the day. And I just noticed my graphics a little messed up. I had a little 50% banner going across the top. I don't know. It looks like it's either broke or maybe Canva took it down. I love Canva. If you ever could be times tuned in. Maybe I don't think we've went live 20 times though. I think Joey's right. I think it might have to do with how many likes. No, see that can't be right because now Jimmy's at 23. He was just at 3, unless it was like updating. Oh, well, it could be Joe because Jimmy just sent us a gift. Let him cook. What? I don't even know what the heck that is. It looks like an apple again. We had an apple with a microphone on Wednesday. I don't quite know what that is. Maybe it's about likes and gifts. Yeah, I don't know. That's weird. I don't know. And now Jimmy just sent a friendship. It looks like 2 bears hugging into a heart. Oh, that's cute. Thanks for sending that, Jimmy. What the heck? I don't know, Joey. You might have to send a gift over to get your get back on top. Jimmy is a TikToker. He knows. I know he knows, but he's not saying anything. Yeah, whatever that gift is, now put him up at 33. Now he just sent 10 GGs. See, this is where we need to get a graphic that figures out what, I love you too, Jimmy, to figure out what all these different gifts are, because I have no idea. Poor Ashley, she's over here on YouTube. She's saying, what are you guys even talking about? Yeah, we're over here on TikTok trying to figure out what, there's a number next to their names. We're trying to figure out what those numbers mean, and I don't have a clue. I really don't. I appreciate the love. We're up to 3,400 likes over there. Jimmy is sending us some gifts, which I appreciate. Like I said, I don't quite know what the currency is, but hey, I appreciate the love. I just appreciate you guys being here. Jimmy says, I got that number 1 back. Hey, you all can fight over there for it. Appreciate the love. Ashley says it's your old body count. Well, then poor Steven's stuck down there with 6. That's funny. All right, let's do this off-brand's thought before we roll back. Mine would be 2. Sure, Jimmy. Sure, Jimmy. I heard you used to be a player back in the day. I heard about you. So let's be honest. There's nothing more spiritually confusing than working your butt off all day, only to find out that your coworker who did the bare minimum is walking out with the same paycheck and more emotional bandwidth. We were sold this myth that if you work hard, you'll be rewarded, that grinding equals glory. But in reality, most jobs reward presence over performance. Meanwhile, Burnout gets mistaken for dedication. You suffer, they smile. And y'all still end up with the same direct deposit. You're not lazy for wanting rest. You're just tired of playing a rigged game in a button-up shirt. Working hard is honorable, but overworking, that's just untherapy trauma with a to-do list. Your worth doesn't increase because you skipped lunch and answered emails at red lights. And the truth is, if working harder doesn't get you paid more, promoted faster, or feeling better, what exactly are you doing it for? You weren't born to be a productivity algorithm. You were born to be a human being. The system was built to applaud you for suffering, but never to actually pay you for it. So the next time you feel guilty for resting, ask yourself, would this company skip a beat if I vanish tomorrow? Work hard if it feeds your purpose, not if it empties your soul. Because at the end of the day, personal growth shouldn't require a subscription. I probably needed to hear that one just as much as the rest of you. Yeah, because I'm just, that's why I did that one as my off-brand thought, because I'm just as guilty of being a hard worker. I'm keeping my comments to myself on this topic. Hey, no, let them fly, let them fly. Listen, I'm someone who I believe you show up early. And showing up early for me is half hour, 45 minutes early. Because if you show on time, you're late. And if you show up late, you might as well just go ahead and find another job. That's just kind of how I've always been. But it is something I started to think about. And I've really been kind of thinking about it over the last year as I'm optimistic, but I am becoming a little bit more cynical in my 40s. A little bit more of a realist, we'll say. That still work hard because you enjoy working hard and you take pride in what you do. But don't work so hard to the point that you're exhausting yourself. You're burning yourself out. You're getting to that point like, I don't even care about this place anymore. A lot of the times, nobody asked you to do that. They didn't ask you to do that. So why are you doing it to yourself? Because hard work tends to get rewarded with more work. That's just the world we live in. So it was an interesting topic for me to kind of think of, the fact that, you and another person might be doing the exact same job, and one of you is that hard worker, right? Answers the phone, right? Or responds to emails right away, or whatever it might be. I'm taking your advice and stopping to like it for that. No, I wasn't talking about you, Joey. No, but I mean, I get what you're saying. 8K. I don't see 8K on my side. I go up to 8K. Yeah, I saw Danny G was late to the party. He jumped out already. That sucker. But yeah, I mean, you end up doing all that work for what? Because maybe you're trying to get a promotion, right? Maybe, and that's fine. If that's your purpose, that's great. Hopefully it works out for you. But a lot of us struggle when we get into that role, because when you do all that extra before you're actually in the job, it's appreciated. Once you're in that role, now it's expected. And don't expect all that same praise and appreciation that we gave you before. I'm not saying I agree with it, but that is the way the world works. Right? Why am I going to give you praise for something you're supposed to do? Right? Don't we hear, don't we hear people say that about everyone, including in our jobs specifically? There's no incentive to do well except more work. Evaluations mean nothing. I mean, externally, of course. Agreed. Yeah. No, I agree. That's what you're going for. Oh, you're going for 8K. You're going to wear your fingers out there, little buddy. Yeah. Yeah. Work hard. Work with purpose. Enjoy it while you can. but understand that we're all replaceable. As much as we appreciate what you do today, tomorrow you might be gone. And I'm not trying to be, grotesque or morbid when I say that. I don't necessarily mean in a bad way, but maybe something, you're out for a period of time for whatever reason. The world still keeps moving, whether you're here or not. All right, I think we're gonna wrap it up for this evening. This has been our longest stream so far, but we had a couple people late to the party. We had one extra segment on here, so I definitely hope you guys continue to enjoy the content. We'll still be live Monday, Wednesday, and Friday next week again. We're considering doing maybe Friday a little bit later, not too much later, because I'm getting old. I'm still usually in bed by 11, at least 11 on Fridays, but. I can stay up a little bit later if need be. Next Friday we might do more of our kind of BBW after dark, a little bit longer, a little bit later. So hopefully I'll kind of let you know once I get the episodes written. I'll let y'all know what we're gonna do there. But yeah, let's wrap this up. I love you guys. Thank you guys for being here. Ashley says, so what is your solution? Work less? No, for me. This is where I'm kind of at because I'm started doing this in my own job. I'm still going to do the same amount of work. And I've never really been someone who's kind of worried about what other people do. But I'm just going to do what I know that needs to be done regardless. I'm going to focus on my areas of responsibility. I'm going to focus on my job description. Right? I'm not saying I'll never go above and beyond because I've always kind of been an above and beyond type of person. But I'm not going to necessarily just jump in and do that. I'm not going to be a yes man. So, do what you want because you want to do it, not because there's some kind of internal thing thinking that that's what you need to do. Did you say new job? No, not new job. Just in my current job. Which could end up turning into a new job at some point. You never know. Can you be my Gilligan? Sure, Jimmy, you can be my Gilligan. This is your captain speaking. You said it at 9,000 likes? Mine must be a little slow because I'm only seeing just under 6,000. Appreciate you guys getting us up there. We were up to 17,000. What was that? 2 weeks ago. I think we're gonna get to 17,000. We're gonna wrap that up, but yeah. I hope you guys have a great weekend. We'll be back on Monday. I'll send out the invites, or I'll create the event. Yeah. So if there's one thing that tonight reminded us, it's that growth doesn't show up with confetti. It shows up as resistance. It shows up as procrastination. Disguised as perfectionism, emotions you were told to ignore, and peace you had to choose on purpose. Your brain grows when you do hard things. Your life changes when you stop waiting to be ready. And your pace expands when you realize not everything deserves a reaction, a reply, or a piece of your energy. So whether you're finally starting the thing you've been putting off, feeling your feelings instead of fighting them, or just silently declining the invite to someone else's drama, you're already doing the work. Keep choosing the version of you that doesn't need to prove, perform, or overthink. And as always, make it worth your wellness. I'll see you guys on Monday.